Okay, so I'm making a video fast forwarding about 6 weeks from the last one that we posted. I've shot a lot of video of our time in Morocco in the last 6 weeks, and most of them were really amazing. But as you guys know, we're in the middle of a pandemic worldwide, and things have really changed. So the last place we were at, if you follow our Instagram stories and Instagram posts, you'll know that the last week we stayed at a campground because we're taking care of some really young stray puppies that we found. We were able to take care of them, and then take them to an animal shelter, so now they're safe. So after we transferred them to the shelter, 2 days after, we decided to drive up to the border to cross, because we have heard that many people, some of our neighbors at the campground included, were able to cross. Actually, one person we became friends with are a couple from Germany, and she was there for about 8 weeks at that same campground. It was only like a mile from the animal shelter, and she would bike to the shelter every day and volunteer during the whole time she was there. So they got word from the German embassy that they should come up to the town of Ceuta, which is an enclave, Spanish enclave on the African continent in Morocco. Or it's Spain. It's officially Spanish territory. It's a city in Spain. And the last we heard, that all the maritime borders were closed, meaning we can't take the ferry from where we arrived in Tanger Med, because that is technically a Moroccan port, and you can't go from a Moroccan port to a Spanish port. But the German couple told us on Friday they were able to come to Ceuta, cross the land border from Morocco into Ceuta, and then from Ceuta they were able to board a ferry that was considered a domestic ferry from Spain to Spain, Ceuta to Algeciras. They got here on Friday. They got on right away. So after they got on, they told us it was easy, it was successful, that we should also do it. And we heard this on Saturday when they successfully made it across. So we left Sunday morning. And while we're driving here to Ceuta, it was a 600-mile drive, we learned on our way, literally 2 hours before we got here, which we arrived here about 9 p.m. We heard that the border was closing at midnight. So we knew that we'd get here at 9 p.m. it would be okay. But what we didn't realize is that there were already probably close to 300 vans already waiting in the line to get in. And none of us had a chance. I don't know who the last person that got in was, but when we got here, about 10 minutes after we arrived, everybody shifted forward, and that was the last time we moved. And that was about 40 hours ago. So we have not budged in the last 40 hours. And the information we heard is that Spain had closed its borders at midnight temporarily, and that's the only border they closed. All the other borders, they still allow Spanish people and all EU and Schengen citizens to travel across for urgent purposes, and driving home is considered one of those purposes. And that's exactly what all these people are here to doing. So today is Tuesday. We got here Sunday evening. All day yesterday, people were still arriving from wherever they came from, all European citizens. You guys know that we are American citizens, but we're also dual citizens and residents of the Republic of Croatia. So we are entering the European Union in Spain and transiting our way to our home here in Europe, which is in Split, Croatia. But we can only do that if the Spanish government lift this border crossing closure at Ceuta. Since we arrived, probably another 100 to 150 vehicles have arrived since, and it's slowed down today. There may have been one vehicle that got here today, but almost everybody that came yesterday left on Sunday and probably stopped somewhere along the way. They didn't want to drive the whole 600 miles or the 1,000 kilometers. It could be more, could be less, depending on where they came from, to get here. Most people, when they left on Sunday, the border hasn't closed yet. but now it has. So no more new people are coming, but the problem is there are about 400, probably 500 motorhomes, camper vans here waiting to get across. And there's no movement at all. And there's no timeline on when it will open. And we understand the concern that the city of Ceuta has, which is they don't want people coming into their city and intermingling and potentially spread the infection. But they actually have a safeguard in place, which is have police escorting all the camper vans and motorhomes directly from the border to the ferry port, and not allowed to exit their vehicle and go straight onto the ferry to Spain. So the government of Ceuta has come up with that plan, except now the federal government in Spain overruled them and stopped this border entry altogether. So the big problem now is that most of the people around here and ahead of us, they're in the roadway that has a concrete center divider where they cannot get around or get across to go back the other way, and it's 2 lanes, and they are queued up back to back, side by side, all the way to the front. So anybody who's in the middle are blocked in. They cannot leave. And there's no sanitation services. There's no electricity. You have to walk into the town behind us, which is a couple kilometers away, to get supplies. And there's also a travel ban all across Morocco that you're not allowed to travel anywhere unless you're going home. And driving to a campground, I don't know how that qualifies. You can drive to go get food, I think, if you have to, but they want to keep it to a minimum, obviously, to prevent the spread. So what we've been doing is we've been in communications with the Croatian embassy in Rabat, Morocco, the capital. And our friends who are UK citizens up there, they have been in contact with their ambassador as well in Morocco from the UK, trying to talk to the Spanish government about opening this border for the purpose of repatriation all the Europeans that are stuck here. Because I don't know how important it is to them, but obviously it's the most important thing to us right now. It is not a good situation for all the people that are here, because it's going to be a potential sanitation disaster on top of a lot of people gathering together that have come from all over Morocco. We are obviously keeping our distance away. We're not leaving the vehicle as much as possible. We have enough supplies, water, food, toilet paper, paper towels. We have solar panels, except it's raining all day today, so we're getting very little solar. I'll probably have to start the engine and do a little charging later. But there are many people here that don't have solar panels. And there are many people here that probably are running low on supplies. And simply speaking, leaving here and going to a campground is really not an option for probably the majority of the people here. For some people that just got here recently towards the back, they can probably get out, but they would have to get a transit permit from the police, and they have to know where they're going, and they also have to know wherever they go, they're going to be allowed in. Where we came from, we know that they weren't letting any new people in, and if you left, you were not allowed to come back. And I think a lot of the campgrounds have the same kind of safeguards to protect the people that are already there. So right now, just a waiting game. We're trying to figure out what to do. And I want to thank the Croatian embassy from Rabat for keeping really close contact with us. They've been talking to us. They've been calling us on WhatsApp multiple times a day to check on us, and we are able to get a hold of them whenever we need to. And as far as we know, we're the only Croatian citizens and residents that are waiting in this line, and possibly in all of Morocco, that are in a caravan or in Morocco at all. So we are sort of their top priority as far as getting people back to Croatia. So they've been really attentive to us. So we actually have a really good channel of communication with the Croatian embassy. And as far as the U.S. embassy goes, the last we heard from the U.S. embassy was that there were repatriation flights out of Casablanca and Marrakesh, but that ceased to exist, I believe, close to a week ago, and even when it did exist, it was $1,500 per person. So for a family of 5, it would have cost $7,500, and we will have to leave the vehicle behind. And in Morocco, you're only allowed to leave your vehicle in the country for 90 days. After that, it is up for seizure by the government. So, you know, that was going to be our last resort. So what we're really trying to do right now is hope that this border opens so we can get across. And just so you guys know, on our way here, we drove here in one day. We paid several tolls and got fuel twice. And we were being very, very careful the entire way. Sanitize our hands and anything that was touched by anybody multiple times before we continue going. We didn't stop for food. We didn't stop for anything else. We just drove here. And we have not really gone outside too much unless it was absolutely necessary, like throwing out trash or getting something from the back of the van and stuff like that. So we all feel pretty healthy, but then again, you guys don't really know for several days if for some reason you were infected. So the incubation period could take anywhere from 3 to 15 days. But we're healthy. Everybody here appears to be healthy, but then again, the same thing applies. You don't really know. So our biggest concern is we talked to a few locals that follow us on Instagram, and they told us that Moroccan government is taking really good measures to make sure that movement is locked down, that people are being safe. Only people who are driving home or need to shop for food or need to work at essential businesses are allowed to travel. And you have to attain a document signed by an authority to authorize for you to do that, which we did when we left the campground. We had a travel document issued to us by the campground host. But for some reason, if we were to get sick, we hope that it won't affect us because we're still relatively young. But if it does, our big concern is that the locals that we talk to talk about the healthcare system here being, to mildly put it, inadequate to meet these kinds of needs. Even European countries are facing situations where their healthcare is being pushed to the limit. So Africa is definitely going to be at a disadvantage if something were to happen. So we want to make sure that if something were to happen, that we make it across to Europe, because as EU citizens and residents, we have healthcare provided for us in European Union. And they're going to be able to handle anything that comes up much, much better than if we were all stuck here. So I would say there's about 1,000 plus Europeans here waiting in line to get across. So this is a pretty serious situation. And people that have decided to stay behind, you know, that was our original choice, and it would still be a risk. So we figured that it was a risk either way, that traveling as we know it in Morocco in the foreseeable future is not going to be the same. So even if a couple months goes by and we're allowed to move around again, we would probably go straight back to Croatia anyways. So when we heard that the opportunity to get to the border by the closing time was possible, we made a run for it, but the line was just way too long for us to get to the front. So that's where we are. And I wanted to get this video out there so you guys can know the situation where we're at. We've been posting on our Instagram stories. We've been posting on our Twitter. Our Instagram is molly.mish and our Twitter is mollymish, no dot. And if you guys know of anything, feel free to let us know via Instagram or Twitter, and we will keep you guys updated with anything else that happens. Thank you guys for watching this video. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys soon.